Dr. Tony D. Collins is here to encourage, motivate, inspire, guide you into excellence. Your success matters. Your dreams matter. Sign up right now with Shepherd One Coaching and become a better you. Dr. Tony D. Collins is here to encourage, motivate, inspire, guide you into excellence. Your success matters. Your dreams matter. Sign up right now with Shepherd One Coaching and become a better you. Dr. Tony D. Collins is here to encourage, motivate, inspire, guide you into excellence. Your success matters. Your dreams matter. Sign up right now with Shepherd One Coaching and become.
Well, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I almost said good evening. Wow, I'm really turned around here. Good morning, everyone. God bless you and thank you for joining us this morning here on Morning Mocha. And as I always say, you, of course, landed in the right place at the right time. So delighted that you're here with us this morning. It is my pleasure, my honor to share with you each and every morning. Take the time to send the link to someone you love and care about and invite them to join us this morning for this morning's Mocha. Real quickly, did receive a prayer request from Brittany Banks, rather. Um, I'm not going to mention the particulars of the prayer request, but I want Brittany to know that we will be lifting you up in prayer. We want you to know we're lifting you up in prayer. We are praying for you. And we're going to be praying specifically for the things that you listed on your prayer request. All right. So be confident in knowing that we're praying for you and trust and believe God for the things that you desire for your life. Let me just assure you, if you trust and believe God, your breakthrough's coming. Your deliverance is coming. The desires of your heart will be met as you exercise your faith in Him. Well, it's a fabulous, fantastic, faith-filled Friday. And let me again say good morning to each and every one of you. And I'm terribly delighted that you have joined us this morning. We've made it to the end of another week by the grace of God, and we're certainly grateful. And I trust this has been a wonderful week for you. I hope and pray that because you have been with us each morning to hear what's being shared, that your life is the better as a result of what you have received. And I know you're going to anticipate extending all of these blessings and what you're enjoying right now, right on into the weekend. And certainly, I know you're going to plan to be in worship at someone's house on this Sunday morning. If you have not planned to do so, make it your business and plans to do so. Again, this platform is welcoming to any and everybody, people of the Christian faith and those who may not profess to be of the Christian faith. This is all about just sharing wisdom, practical wisdom for daily living. Today, I want to talk to you about sowing a seed, And before some of you make the wrong conclusion and decide, well, maybe this one is not for me, because anytime some of us hear anything about sowing seed, we think somebody's trying to get after our money, and that's not necessarily the case. As a matter of fact, I want you to stick around, hang around, and you may be surprised what I'm referring to when I talk about sowing seed. Most of you know by now that my primary purpose and objective here on Morning Mocha, for those who may or may not know, my primary purpose is to add value to your life. To encourage you, to challenge you, to push you to think in ways that you may not typically think. I'm here to spur you to get outside of your comfort zone, to get outside the box, if you will. And I know that can be scary for some people, but as scary as it may seem, it can be most beneficial for you to just leave your comfort zones and get outside the box. I'm here to challenge you to dare to do things you never considered doing before, things you never thought you could do. To remind you, there is much more in you than you may imagine. And the blessing is when you tap into those things, when you start to operate outside of the box, when you dare get outside of your comfort zones, man, there's so much more that you'll discover about yourself and about life that you really have been missing out on. Now, most of the time, I'm urging you to focus on yourself. I'm urging you to focus on your hopes and your dreams. But today, I want you to consider how you can be a blessing by adding value to others. Um, we often hear it referred to as paying it forward. You've received blessings from what you receive from me, what I pour out to you on a daily basis. Sometimes you need to stop and think about how you can add value to other people as you have had value added to you. That's what I want you to focus on today. And ironically, the way I'm going to challenge you today has the potential to still be a great blessing to you. So this is a win-win situation. You're going to be blessed by what I'm sharing, but then you're going to in turn be challenged to take what you receive. And I'm not just talking about from this morning, Mocha. I'm talking about in general. Take what you receive and be a blessing to someone else. Do you not realize that what you make happen for other people, God will make happen for you? It's the simple law of reciprocity. It's quite simple, but yet it is very profound. I'm simply trying to tell you that whatever you sow is what you will reap. Whatever you give, that's what you'll get in return. Whatever you do to others, it will be done to you. But whatever you do for others, others will do for you. Think about it. The primary reason why so many people go through life never having what they desire to have is because they're so unwilling to share what they already have. It's as simple as that. Every one of us, believe it or not, have been equipped with, or we possess something of value that we can share with others that has the potential to add value to other people. Now, some of you may be questioning that because of how you have, to some degree, devalued yourself. You have devalued your gifts. You've even devalued your character. What am I trying to say to you? Some of you don't even realize how special you are. Some of you don't even realize what you really possess. I want you to leave this morning, Mocha, this morning. If you don't get anything else, I want you to leave this morning, Mocha, with the assurance that you are more valuable than anything that's material. What you have inside of you has much greater value than any material or tangible substance. The primary reason why this is because what you have inside of you can never be taken away. It can only be shared with others. Consider that, if you will. God has placed something special on the inside of you that no one can ever take away from you. But you do have the abilities, you have the capabilities, you have the opportunities on a daily basis to share what God has blessed you with other people. Think about this. There's great value in your smile. Why is that? Because your smile has the power to brighten someone's atmosphere. The atmosphere is always so much more pleasant when there are smiles being shared in the atmosphere. There's a feeling of warmth that comes over people when they exchange smiles with one another. They don't have to know each other. They can be total strangers. But if they would just share smiles, exchange smiles with one another, man, it changes the entire atmosphere. A smile has a way of causing people to relax and feel more comfortable in your presence. A smile can remove any sense of threat. I'm talking about a genuine smile. Your smile has the power or the ability to do that. So there's value in your smile. There's great value in a kind word. A kind word can help to lift another person's heavy burden. It really absolutely can. And that's the reason why it's so important that you try to speak kind words to people as much as you can. Kind words come wrapped in courtesy, to say please and to say thank you. Those are kind words. Those are words that indicate that you give consideration to the other individual, especially when you know they're doing something for you that they may not have to do. I say, and I've used this example on several occasions, one of the things that I try to do, if I approach a door, if I'm about to enter into a building, and I'm the first one to the door, but yet I have people behind me, whether they're in my group or not, I'll open the door and I'll stand and hold a door for as long as I need to allow everyone behind me to enter that building before I do. And some people are courteous enough to say thank you as they pass me. Others not so courteous, and I must admit at times it kind of bothers me. I'm like, okay, I'm standing here holding the door for you. I don't have to do this. I am not the doorman. I'm not holding my hat out for tips. I have to fight that feeling every now and then. And I say to myself, well, the least you can do is say thank you. And so I want you to consider that the next time you walk through a door and someone is holding the door open for you, just to say thank you. It is a kind word. When people serve you at a restaurant, to say thank you, that's a kind word. Even if the waiter or the waitress seems not to be having their best day, I try to break through or crack through that hardness with a kind word. My wife will tell you that a lot of times I'll make light of things, or I'll make a joke out of certain things just to see if I could get that waiter or waitress, to that server, to smile, to laugh. Maybe I can say something to help brighten their day. But even when they have bad attitudes and maintain that bad attitude all while they're serving us, I still will use the words please and thank you. And I'm not one of those people who will say, well, I didn't like their attitude, I didn't like this, or I didn't like that, so I'm not giving them a tip. No. Lady Ann and myself have made it, we've made it our decision that regardless as to the service we may get from a particular server, even in a restaurant, we're still going to leave them a tip. We still are going to leave them a tip. And I know some of you might be saying, well, why in the world would you do that? They don't deserve a tip. Sometimes we don't deserve the blessings we get. Sometimes that the things that God does for us, he only does it because he overlooks all of our faults. And yet he still blesses us. See, we've learned to give consideration to the fact that people are people. And people have good days and they have bad days. You never know what's on that server's mind. They could have gotten some horrific news about themselves, about a family member, They could be working with something heavily on their mind and heavily on their spirit. And the way they're serving you, their demeanor, their disposition, you don't know. It may have absolutely nothing to do with you. But I tell you what, when you go ahead and tip despite the service, that's a kind gesture. That's letting that individual know, whether they may appreciate it or not, that you yet have a heart of compassion. And for those of you that are of the Christian faith, we call that being a witness. Wow. See, some people, despite the fact that they may get good service, they still don't believe in tipping. Or if they tip very, very small, not knowing that many servers only make a few dollars. When I'm talking about a few dollars, it blew my mind when I discovered how little that servers are paid. And they actually depend on their tips as their true income. You know, when you talk about paying someone $2 or $3 an hour, and they really have to make it more so on their tips. Think about it. The next time you're in a restaurant and you start contemplating whether or not you're going to leave a tip or how much of a tip you're going to leave, and if that tip is a very small tip, it's an insignificant tip, then I want to challenge you to think again. Make someone's day. Be a blessing to the people, those that are serving you. Some of us want the best of service, but yet we're not willing to show any kind of appreciation to the people who serve us. And whether you believe it or not, your little to no tip can add insult to injury. It can make an individual's misery much more miserable. You have the power, you have the ability, you have the wherewithal, you have the value in you to share that value with someone else and to be a tremendous blessing to them. So again, kind word, please, thank you. I've got that built into my vocabulary. I think I've shared this with you a time or two before. Lady Ann and myself, this coming June, we'll be married 26 years. 26 years. And still after 26 years, Lady Ann will still cook my dinner, fix my plate, and bring it to me. And when she does, I dare not act as though I'm entitled to that. I dare not give her the notion of thinking that this is her job and it's what she owes me. No, I don't come off like that. I dare not do that. But instead, when my wife is kind enough to fix me dinner, and this is every day, y'all, with the exception of the weekends. She says she's off on the weekend. I ain't mad at her. I'm not mad at her. I'm telling y'all, I'm very serious on that. But when she's kind enough to prepare my dinner and even put it on my plate and bring it to where I am, and a lot of times I eat in my man cave, that's where I hang out the most. She'll bring it to me. My man cave is in our base, the lower part of our house. When she does, every time I tell her thank you. I tell her thank you, because one of the things that I realize is that she does not have to do what she does. I want her to know that what she does is appreciated. And it's not just appreciated some of the time, but it's appreciated all of the time. And I believe that those kind words that I share with Lady Ann, they are words that add value to her. I believe that, if I acted as though I took all of that for granted. She may not be so quick to want to prepare dinner every night. Kind word. Kind word. There's great value in a listening ear. Think about that. A listening ear can be very instrumental in helping others to release some of their pressure. Pressures they're feeling during stressful times. Just a listening ear. Have you ever heard the phrase that silence is golden? That's true. Silence can be very golden. When people want to unload, when people want to release, when people want to vent, they're not necessarily looking for you to talk. They're not looking for your advice. They're not really looking for your input. They're looking for an ear. That listening ear says that you're sympathetic. That listening ear says that you understand what they're feeling as they're releasing these things. And you just want to give them their space, their time, and your ear, just so they can get off their chest whatever it is they need to get off their chest. I know sometimes people feel like, I'm not up for people's complaining sessions. There's a difference between complaining and venting. When you're complaining, you have no desire for resolution. You're not looking for the situation to be resolved. A lot of times when people are complaining, they're just wanting to hear themselves talk, and they're looking for anybody that will be just as entertained by their voice as they are. But when a person is venting, a person that just wants to vent doesn't make it a habit to complain all the time. A person that wants to vent, they want to vent because they are so filled up and frustrated from things that they have been suppressing and holding in, and they just feel like, I just need to talk to somebody. I need someone who will just sit and listen to me. I don't need anyone who's going to complicate the situation with trying to offer me advice, only to find that they have no clue what I'm dealing with. They lack understanding even when I'm sharing with them. Sometimes the better part of wisdom is just to sit quietly and acknowledge the fact that I have nothing for you, honestly, but to just listen. I can listen because what you're sharing, I don't possess the knowledge to know how to tell you how to deal with that situation. But that's not what that person is looking for anyway. So you're adding value to that person. That value is coming from you just by listening. Do you understand what great gift you have if you are a great listener? If you have the gift of listening and listening well, actively and attentively, do you understand the value you possess just by being a listener? Consider this one. There's great value just in your presence. Sometimes a person just knowing that you are there is more than enough. It can be very comforting. I know probably very few of you have experienced this, but I've experienced time when I've had a friend or someone come to my house and just want to sit. I just need some time. They just want to sit in your presence. There have been times I've had family members that have come to my house, and I can tell that something is wrong, and they'll acknowledge the fact that they're dealing with something, but all they want to do is just come and sit and watch television with me. I don't have to say anything to them. They don't have to say anything to me, but just somehow just being in each other's presence, their being in my presence seems to be enough for them. And when they get ready to leave, they'll say something like, I'm cool, I'm good, I'm straight. I don't try to force them to talk about it because that's not what they're needing at the time. They just needed to have it affirmed that if I need you to be here, that you're here for me. There's great value just in your presence. I know you're there. I can give you a very good example of just knowing that that person was present. I can go back to the time when my dad passed away. It was a very, very, very difficult time. And I never expressed this verbally, but sometimes I would indicate it with my actions. And I know it had to be difficult for Lady Ann at the time because I seemed to be somewhat smothering, if you will. How so? It wasn't because we were always needing to be sitting there in one another's face the whole time. I was processing my grief. I was going through this or whatever, and that and the other. But at the time, and I don't even know that she really realized it, but at the time, I would get very irritated if she was to leave the house, and especially if she was to be gone for extended periods of time. Now, some of you might be thinking to yourself, are you crazy? Well, I may not have been all the way emotionally stable at the time, but I just wanted to know she's in the house. She's somewhere close. She's somewhere near. I don't know if I was afraid to be by myself or just uncomfortable, if you will, with being by myself at the time. But her presence, just knowing that she was in the house. I could have been downstairs. She could have been upstairs. I could have been upstairs. She could have been downstairs. But I was cool with that. But when she left the house, there were times that I became very irritated and agitated. Sounds crazy. Everybody deals with grief differently. I'm being very transparent with you. Maybe this will help you to understand the range of emotions you feel when you're going through certain things yourself. I mean, over time, I eventually got over it. But at that particular season in my life, it was just what I needed. I just needed her to be present. And I felt much better when she was present. I can't say it enough. Sometimes there is great value. You can show great value, share great value by just being present. Sometimes people don't realize what they're saying when they say to an individual, I want you to know that I'm here for you. What does that mean? I want you to understand what it means. To say I'm here for you doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be doing a particular thing. But it says I'm present and I'm available just in case you need. I'm within reaching distance. I am here for you. And again, being present don't mean that you got to show up running your mouth. As a matter of fact, during certain times, please be quiet. Because, if you're not careful, after a while, your voice, as much as you may mean well, your voice may become an irritant. There have been so many occasions where I have sat up on the phone and just listened to people just talk to me. And I don't say a word until I'm invited into the conversation. When it starts, it's a monologue, but it only becomes a dialogue when I'm invited to join in. Presence. Presence. There's great value in love. Love covers a multitude of faults. That's according to Scripture. It covers, it compensates for a multitude of faults. When people have the assurance about you that you will love them unconditionally, that truly adds value to that other person. It may not seem like it does. That person may continue to do crazy things for extended periods of time. But when they know that they can return to you and that you will love them in spite of their mistakes, that adds value to that individual. But you got to understand what real love looks like. It doesn't mean that you're condoning whatever they do. You're not necessarily in agreement with whatever they do. But that unconditional love will cause you to not just kick them to the curb. You'll exercise patience with them. You'll still be kind to them. You'll show them the love that they need. Are you getting the picture? Are you beginning to see how valuable you are and what a blessing you have the potential to be to other people? Are you seeing that yet? And in sharing your value with others. Now, as you review all these things I've already shared with you, have you noticed it hasn't cost you one thin dime? See, some people, when they saw the title of today's discussion, they made a conclusion. Oh, he's going to be talking about money. Wrong. Now, it's going to eventually come into the discussion here, but not in the way that you think. That's another thing. Don't be that person that's always making assumptions in life. You can miss out on the very blessing you need, the very message you need to hear, simply because you made an assumption. And yes, some of the titles I put up there, I do it purposely. I know that some of the titles that I put on my discussions are going to cause people to repel. They're going to back up. They're going to decide, well, this one's not for me. Really? That's another thing. Some of us miss out on the very things that we need because we jump to conclusions. I told you about sowing into the lives of other people. And again, what I've suggested to you hasn't cost you a dime. But let me ask you this. What if it did? Would that change anything for you if what I started to suggest to you would kind of get in your pocket a little bit? Wow. I want to remind you of something I said to you earlier, and I want you to keep this in mind, that whatever you're willing to share with others, it will eventually be returned to you. How do we share with others? By sowing into other people. Again, some of y'all so narrow-minded. You're so locked up in your church rhetoric, your religious rhetoric, that you can't get past the phrase sowing seed. And the sad part is there are a great number of people who don't want to sow into the lives of other people, but yet they're desiring people to sow into them. Let me make it plain and simple for you. They don't want to give to anybody else, but they even expect other people just to give to them. We share by sowing. In sowing, we share. Now let me point out a place where some of us are trapped in that kind of exchange. And I want you all to listen to me very closely. Some of us are only willing to loan to others, but not to sow into others. Can I unpack that for you? Here's the problem. Loaning limits your return. You can only expect to receive back whatever you were willing to loan out. When you sow, there is no cap or no limit on your return. There's the difference. When you loan, the return is a one-time return. But when you sow, the harvest is perpetual. It's never ending. If I were to loan you my car, the only thing that I could expect to get back is my car. And maybe a full tank of gas if you're so kind and inclined to do so. That's the only thing I can expect to get back. I loan you my car, I get back my car. If I loan you $50, I can only expect to get back $50, unless you're a loan shark, unless you're a finance institution, which you're not. You don't loan to one another and then put an interest rate on it. Well, Pastor, that's just good business. No, that's not a friend. That's not a family member. That's not someone that truly loves you. Loan is a one-time return. But when you sow that seed becomes a perpetual seed. It reproduces over and over and over. It becomes the gift that keeps on giving because you sowed a seed. You know, when I stop and think about it right now, there are many seeds that Lady Ann and myself have sown into the lives of people, not just at church, but into lives of individuals. We're going to be a blessing to them. We're going to do this. We've done that. And the return may not have been immediate, but it's been ongoing. I can't tell you the number of times and the many ways I have reaped a harvest on a seed we've sown years ago. I know that's what it is. That's the only explanation for it. Some of you might say, well, I don't never have anybody just come up and give me anything. Well, what have you ever just walked up and given to somebody else? I don't ever have anybody trying to do anything for me. Well, what are you trying to do for somebody else? I'm sitting over here in need and ain't nobody trying to help me. How much have you tried to help others in the past, especially when you were doing well? It's something to think about. You're getting a return on what you've sown. You've sown nothing, so you reaped nothing. And you've loaned money out and have demanded it back. I've even loaned money that I had to finally chalk it up as gone. Because sometimes when you loan people money, they go ghost on you. They will go ghost in a minute. And I'm not that person going to chase you down or anything of that nature. I'm not going to hold it against the people. You know, that's on them. That's on their conscience. Would I have liked to had what I loaned back? Of course. But sometimes certain loans evolved. They evolve into a seed. They actually do. Especially when you get to the point where you just forget it. They evolve into seeds. But just know this, you've added value to that person's life. They may not appreciate it, but you've done your part. Now, as I'm wrapping this up today, I want to challenge you to be intentional about finding ways to be a blessing to others. It doesn't matter how small the gesture may be. Small gestures will eventually grow into large gestures or major gestures of kindness or whatever. But find ways to be intentional. Do it on purpose. To be intentional about finding ways to be a blessing to other people. Be intentional about finding ways to add value to other people. I've given you starting points that don't cost you a dime. And while I say that, y'all, don't be that person that's always so hung up and so worried about what it's going to cost you in terms of money. Sometimes we put too much value on money. And we know the value of money is constantly dropping. It is. But your value, your stock as an individual can continuously raise. It can rise to level after level after level after level and just keep ascending. So long as you're willing to continue to be intentional about adding value to other people. You never know. You may be holding the very blessing that someone else needs to get them over the hump, to help them get through some very difficult times, to make their day, to literally change their life. You might be carrying that very blessing. You may be carrying it and don't even know it. That's the reason why some of these things you just need to practice as an outgrowth of the character that you've developed as a person. If you're being who you are and you've developed the right character, then ultimately you will be a blessing to someone else. And I don't know about you, but I gain a sense of reward even now. Not that I'm patting myself on the back, but when I can see that some of the things that I do brings value, which is manifested in joy. When I see that happen in the lives of people, it just gives me a feeling that is unexplainable. I mean, think about this. Again, when I'm sharing with you here on Morning Mocha, when I stand before the congregation and pour out before the congregation, I'm adding value. At least I hope I am. And you have the ability and the power to do the same thing. Well, Bishop, Dr. Cobbins, I can't talk or communicate like you can. How about this? Smile. That's a ministry that all of us ought to have. Smile. Again, kind word. Not a dissertation, just please and thank you. You're welcome. Have a great day. Those kind of things. You can't imagine the potential for you to change someone's life by doing the little things. And finally, y'all, I want you to always remember, it bears repeating, what you make happen for others, God will make happen for you. If you don't believe it, test the principle. Just try it. Now, I don't want you to run out and say, well, I did this for somebody and within the next hour, somebody ought to do something for me. No. There's no time stamp on when the return is going to come back. Just do what you do and let the seed take care of itself. You sow the seed and let time and process take care of itself. But one of these days, you're going to find yourself reaping a harvest that is going to be unimaginable. Well, that's a wrap. That's it, not only for today, but for this week of Morning Mocha. I truly hope that you have been tremendously blessed. And just in case you run across someone who say, well, you know, I was going to watch Morning Mocha, but I saw where he was going to be talking about sowing seed. And man, I ain't got time to be listening to nobody talk about giving money. I know some people were convinced that I was going to be on here talking about raising an offering. Come on, people. Come on. Y'all to know by now that you can't read a whole lot into the titles of our discussion. You know, I just use that as the bait and the hook to get you on to see what I was going to say. I know some of you probably came on here to see what I was going to say so you can rebuttal in your spirit. Let's see what he going to say about getting money and all that. Listen, let me tell you something, and I'm closing when I tell you this. When you have that kind of attitude and that kind of spirit, the reality is what you're really reflecting is that you have the hang up with the money thing, not the person who's teaching or talking about it. Especially when it comes to me, because when I start talking about finances and money and all that kind of thing, it's because I want to help you discover how to get more into your pocket, how to become financially blessed. That's my objective. I don't come on here raising offering, but again, I'll say this. Okay, you love God and all that, and I don't want to make this a church thing because this is really not the church platform, if you will. But why do you get so irritated when people are just suggesting that you share? I remember when we were children, growing up, coming through Sunday school, and we'd get out of Sunday school or whatever, and at the time BTU, Baptist Training Union, and oftentimes we would ask what we would learn. And so many times, if I heard one kid say this, I've heard him say it 100 times. We learned to share, and we really used this when we were kids. We used it against one another. If a sibling had something and you wanted some of what they had, and they weren't willing to share with what they had, they'd share what they had with you, rather. We would quickly tell our sibling, "Oh, see there, you're gonna go to the devil because we supposed to share and you're not sharing." How many how many you've been engaged in that kind of conversation? If you're an only child, it's highly unlikely that you haven't had that kind of experience. But when you grow up in a large family, I know if y'all was a church attending family, I know that came up a time or two in your household. You're supposed to share. In other words, you're supposed to give. But man, we've lost that lesson. We've let that lesson go out the window. And we get offended now. Of course, now I guess we used to get offended then when someone would suggest that we are supposed to share. I guess it's just the nature of the beast. Well, that's it, y'all. That's all. That's all I have for the day and for the weekend. For those of you that are part of Canaan Church family, now some of you might be saying, you keep saying this ain't the church thing, but I'm still who I am. I still got to invite you to meet us in the house on Sunday morning. We invite you to become a part of our worship experience. You're more than welcome. If you have never been in a live worship experience at Canaan Worship Center, just invite you and encourage you to come be a part. I know you're going to go away blessed. I know you're going to go away blessed. We meet every Sunday morning at 9 a.m., 5333 East Bannister Road in South Kansas City, Missouri. All right. Look forward to seeing you. Until then, God bless. You all have a blessed, wonderful, and even prosperous rest of your weekend. God bless.